Mute myself now.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, and this is an All Things Virtual Academy meeting. We're going to wait just a couple minutes before we get started to make sure that anybody that's still rushing home from work and needs just a second to log in has the opportunity to. So give us just a couple minutes, and we will get started. All right, I've got 6:02. I'm sure we'll still have people join. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Caleb Starr. I'm the principal of Broken Arrow Virtual Academy, and I am excited to be with you today. One of the things I love about working for Broken Arrow Public Schools is students first, and we're always looking for ways to improve and add exciting opportunities. And this year's been full of new opportunities for a variety of reasons, some not so fun, like a pandemic. The opportunity to really give this opportunity new life in Broken Arrow Public Schools. And so tonight, it's our goal just to give you an authentic look at what Broken Arrow Virtual Academy is, what those things can look like for your students, and just answer any questions that you may have as well. So the way it'll work, I'll do some introductions here in a minute, and then we'll have four different teachers, excuse me, tell you a little bit about their day, tell you a little bit about what Virtual Academy can offer you, and tell you a little bit about the nuts about how things work. And so as we progress through this, I'm sure you will have questions. I'd like for you just to write those questions down or hold them in your head. And then at the end, we'll utilize the chat box to you type out your questions, and we'll try to answer those at that point in time. I would tell you that we would appreciate it if you keep those questions just in general form. We really don't want to get into specific situations. If you have specific wonderings about your specific student, we will leave our email addresses in the chat box, and then we'll talk to you guys directly just to help you make the best decision possible as you move forward. All right. So to begin, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Once I do, play on a video here. Make sure that I've got all the settings right here. One second, I need to try that again. I have to do something just a little different to show a video clip. Broken Arrow Virtual Academy exists just to provide students with flexibility of scheduling. There's a lot of reasons that students may want to have a school day that doesn't just fit within that normal mold from 8 to 3 or 7 to 2:30. Whether it's medical concerns, whether it's just parents maybe that travel and you want to experience that with them, or maybe students have figured out what they want to do after graduation and they want to start experiencing that in the form of internships or other things now. Virtual Academy allows them those opportunities to get their educational needs satisfied while still attending to other matters as well.
Being a coach and teaching for the Virtual Academy has been different than working in the classroom setting, because when some of my students are still at school and when they were like in their other classes and I wasn't necessarily able to help them, my kids that are in the Virtual Academy, I've been able to help them even while I've been at practice. If I needed to check my email on my phone or gotten a text message from them, I was able to respond to them really quick. And even in the evenings whenever I was on bus rides and stuff like that, I was able to help them as well.
I volunteered for this position just because I have a little bit of history working in the virtual world. And so far this year it's been a very stretching experience, an exciting experience. I'm excited to be on the front line of this new chapter for Broken Arrow. I think the thing that I enjoy most about working with the Virtual Academy is getting to partner with not just the students, but the parents as well, and really just getting to build a relationship with the whole family. You know, in the regular classroom, we get to learn our students, but this way we get to learn the entire family, and it's been really cool.
Broken Arrow Virtual Academy offers just about every single class that you can get in the traditional brick and mortar setting. We do offer advanced classes, AP classes, pre-AP classes. We do offer a variety of electives. There are some things like band or football or basketball that you would have to be an in-person learner to participate in, but we do offer a blended schedule which allows students to participate in the things they want to in person and still allows them the flexibility of schedule with the more traditional classes.
So a day in the life of a BAVA teacher is definitely different than being in the classroom setting. Obviously, it's a lot more interaction with the computer, but I'm still able to, you know, see face-to-face with my kiddos through Zoom or Microsoft Teams and different avenues like that.
Having the flexible schedule for my families has been a really great thing. I have some families that are working during the day, so they're able to work with their students on the weekends or at night, and it's been super helpful for them. I've had families that extended fall break, and they were able to still work remotely and do their schoolwork while experiencing fun things as a family on a trip. So it's been really great for our families to have that extra flexibility.
I like that I can come home, relax, and do my schoolwork, and also go to band. It's actually pretty nice having friends that are in band. I can also get help from my parents. It's not too hard. It's just simple.
I have this one family who reached out to me recently, just telling me how thankful they were for the Virtual Academy, that their student just struggled in the general classroom setting. And for the first time in his life, he's able to have A's and B's. He's able to feel successful in school, and it's because of that flexible schedule and the ability to, you know, really make education work for him and not make him work for that education. It kind of, you know, changed the dynamic for him a little bit.
I think over the course of the next 3 years, we're really set up to have the best virtual academy in the state of Oklahoma. We're able to provide Broken Arrow teachers that know that this is home to them and know that students consider this home. And so Virtual Academy here in Broken Arrow allows you to still be a tiger, allows you to still experience life as a tiger while still pursuing hopes and dreams that may not fit within the traditional setting of school. All right, so hopefully that gave you guys a little bit of an overview of what we have here to offer you as far as Virtual Academy is concerned. Got two monitors set up here, so I'm kind of looking back and forth if you wonder why I'm looking off to the right. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to some of our fabulous teachers to talk to you about what Virtual Academy is like and what they do and how they offer support to you. So I'm going to share my screen again and introduce a few people, and then I will turn it over to them. All right, so the introductions I'm going to make today, Miss Early will start us off today. She's our resource teacher that helps really with the nuts and bolts around Virtual Academy. Miss Ramsey, one of our elementary teachers, Miss Blackburn, one of our middle school teachers, Miss Adams, one of our high school teachers, will all be giving you some information at this point in time. Miss Early, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. So my name is Elizabeth Early. I'm a resource teacher at the Broken Arrow Virtual Academy. This is my 11th year with Broken Arrow. I taught 8 years in first grade. I was an assistant principal for 2 years, and then this is my first year, of course, with the Broken Arrow Virtual Academy. So I have enjoyed being part of Broken Arrow school system for the entire 11 years. Just seeing the things that they can do has been amazing. And then being part of the Virtual Academy family this year and just seeing all the innovations and connections we've made with families has been really, really neat. It's just been really nice to watch.
Miss Early, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Ramsey. I was done. I'm sorry. I thought I was passing on to Miss Ramsey.
Sorry.
I think, Miss Early, why don't you go ahead and talk about the software and the resources that we have available?
Okay, yeah, I sure can. So our software, why we use software in our Broken Arrow Virtual Academy program because it creates a learning platform that can be utilized at any time throughout the day. I'm reading from my notes to make sure I don't miss things, but this offers academic supports, instructions, and assignments that are built into the platform. So I really want to dig in and discuss our software program's flexibility, the self-pacing, and availability with that. Right now, Broken Arrow Public Schools is currently vetting a few finalists for the software program that will be used for the K through 12 grade students, and that's for the 2021 academic school year. So this will ensure that we secure the best possible choice for our Broken Arrow virtual students. A committee has been comprised of our Broken Arrow Virtual Academy teachers, our administrators, as well as our Broken Arrow curriculum specialists. So they have all assisted in this process. These software programs that we are considering are all aligned with Oklahoma academic standards. So this will ensure that all of our Broken Arrow Virtual Academy students meet their credit requirements and stay academically aligned with their peers that are in-person learning sites. Our software program, whichever one we choose, will be an asynchronous learning platform, which does not require a real-time interaction during assignment completion. I do want to make sure to communicate that there are many opportunities for our students to work with their teachers, receive tutoring, get real-time support, and have that virtual time and in-person time with their peers. Our amazing Broken Arrow Virtual Academy teachers will discuss this more in depth and shortly. So an asynchronous learning platform creates flexibility for our students and family. Students can work at their own pace. You can work when it is best for your child and your family. So assignments are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will occasionally be times that your child's teacher may request a certain set time for things such as assessments, interventions, small groups, classroom meetings, or classroom games and activities. So the goal for staying on track for self-pacing with this flexibility in this learning platform is to complete at least one assignment per school day in each course. So that'd be 5 out of 7 days. But again, with the flexibility that we talked about, this can be completed each school day. It can be completed in the evenings, on the weekends, or over the course of just a few days, depending on your student's ability and your family's needs. So you definitely have that flexibility in there. I also wanted to share some examples of the flexibility and what is offered to our families. We've had some different students that have been able to do some new things this year that they weren't necessarily able to do in the past. And we also have had some families just reach out to teachers and the administration reporting the flexibility and what it's meant to their family. So one example that comes to mind is we have an 11th grader who has completed all of his coursework. He did that before spring break. So he is able to, he's ready for 12th grade. He's already completed all his work, but he's able to work and spend the next month and a half, 2 months utilizing that time, and he's saving extra money for his future. So we also have another girl named Claire that is with the Tulsa Ballet, and she is with them full time. And she also is with a virtual academy. And that gives her and her family that flexibility to where she can do both things while staying on task with her coursework and keeping up with her peers academically. So, and then the other example that came to mind from our families would be families have reported often that they have more quality time with their family. They don't feel as rushed every day. They don't feel like they have to come back from school and then rush all evening. So those have been the things that I really came to mind when I was looking for examples for flexibility and what it's meant to our families. So moving on from there, I do want to talk about our resources. We have lots of resources. I'm going to hit on some main points of resources, but there are so many resources out there. And again, you can reach out to us if you have further questions. If you choose a virtual academy, you can reach out to your roster teacher and they could seek out any resource that you might need. Some of the resources are our roster teacher support. Teachers are always available throughout the school day to ensure learning success and parent support. And if need be, they can be available in the evenings or other times just based on availability and scheduling. Our administration, you always have support from the administration. There's always principals and assistant principals at the virtual academy. You can call the virtual academy or email. If we're in a meeting or they're busy, they will definitely get back to you very quickly. We have school counselor support. So the virtual academy will have a counselor available throughout the school year for any student or family needs. Our tutoring options, Broken Arrow has actually a variety of tutoring options, but one is the Broken Arrow Virtual Academy has tutoring Tuesday and Thursday evening from 4 to 7. You can do that in person or you can do that virtually. And then we also, of course, with the teachers, you can schedule virtual one-on-one sessions, small group sessions. Teachers have open office hours, which you'll hear more about shortly. Another resource is our parents or learning guide and student training and support. We have a lot of supports, videos and links and resources for you along the way. And that takes me to our Parent University Resource Center that is actually on our Broken Arrow Virtual Academy website. And that is a resource center that you can click on anytime. If it's 10 o'clock at night and you want to look up a video and see, oh, I want to, learn a little bit more about that, you have that availability. The ability to connect with your homeschool site. I think you'll hear a little bit more about that from teachers, but your student will have that option and that availability. And then, of course, our technology. If you don't have internet, we have hotspots you can check out. Our 6th through 12th grade students all have access to Chromebooks. Our kindergarten through 5th grade, if you do not, then you can reach out. If you do not have a device at home, then we can help furnish you with that. And then the last resource that I noted here, which is super important, is our students with special needs will be additionally supported just like in our in-person learning classroom by our special education teachers, our EL teachers, gifted and talented teachers, and so on, as whatever resources we might need and whatever teachers we need to collaborate, we'll be able to do so. So that kind of covers everything as far as, not everything, but everything I can tell you about today. So I want to thank you for your time and I will hand it over to Alicia Adams.
Hi, I'm Alicia Adams and I'm excited to be here representing our high school team. This is my 21st year with Broken Arrow and my second teaching in our virtual school. To help explain what a high school teacher does for virtual, I've created a kind of a sample account here, and my fictional student I'm going to refer to as John, and you'll see his dashboard on the screen. This is what John sees when he logs in each time on his Chromebook. And what you'll see here is that John only has 5 classes displayed, and that's because John chose the very popular blended option, which seems to be our most popular option this year because it allows students the flexibility to take that favorite elective or the favorite subject that they have that they just really want to have in person. They can still take that in person, or any combination of classes. If they're a Tulsa Tech student, early college, high school, different options that we offer, they can do any of those in the blended version. So John, his sixth hour is an athletic hour, and his athletic hour is not in season anymore. So his dashboard is indicative to me of a student who maybe is having spring fever, and since his sport is not as in season, he's kind of fallen through the cracks just a little bit, just kind of getting there. You can see that with his French class. So what I would do as his roster teacher is reach out to him about that French class and say, you know, John, you had a C in this last semester. I know that you're capable. We would open that class up and look at it together and see where maybe I could reset some assignments or some tests or quizzes, or maybe even offer him, because we do have a certified French teacher that teaches virtually that could sit with him and go back over some of that. So those are some options that I would look at with John. And then we would also look at definitely his Algebra 2 class, which would be concerning, seeing that he has a 64%. We want to see all of our students finish strong. And even if they've got spring fever, we're going to be in constant contact with them and with John's parents as well. If things were to further deteriorate, definitely parents would be contacted. But John and I have a good rapport. So I think that first communication, he's going to jump right back on track and get things brought back up. So some of the student expectations are that they log in on a very regular basis. If they don't log in for anywhere from 3 to 4 days, that's going to be a red flag on our dashboard that we're going to reach out and say, you know, is there something going on that we need to know about? Maybe reach out to the parents and see if there's something we need to offer to get them started back up again. Also encouraging them to take advantage of all of those resources that Miss Early just mentioned, all of those tutoring options, different things that they can reach out to us and ask us about, or that we can remind them that we have to offer. And then advocating for your academic needs as a high school student is something that we also teach them. We're not always going to notice every little thing that they might need. So teaching them how to advocate for themselves and say, hey, can you tell me why I got an 85 on that essay instead of, you know, I really thought I was going to ace that and get a 100. So advocating to ask those deeper questions about, you know, why is this happening and what can I do to do better? And then on the next screen, I want to go into pacing with opening up one class on John's dashboard. This would be his US history class. And you can see from his pacing map here for this one class, he has 3 overdue assignments. So that is something that both you as a parent and John can see when you open that up, that it wouldn't really take a lot of time for him to get caught back up. It says it would take him about an hour to catch back up on those assignments. And then looking back at his history just before that, he was making 100s and 90s on assignments and quizzes for that particular class. So that tells me that he is understanding the material. He just needs to spend a little bit more time working on it, and he'll be all caught back up. That is all I have right now for secondary. If you have any further questions, please feel free to enter those in the chat box and we'll chat about that later. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Blackburn, who's going to talk about middle school.
Thank you, Miss Adams. I'm Skylar Blackburn. I'm one of our middle school teachers. And I'm just going to kind of touch a little bit on what Miss Adams said, but a little bit about what the difference is, what we see for middle schoolers and high schoolers. So what I do as a roster teacher, it's my job to facilitate the progress and success of all of our students on an individual basis. So I'm responsible for checking and keeping up with each kiddo, where they are, where they should be, and how they're doing on those assignments. It's also my job to help facilitate tutoring if they need it. We have built a good team at the middle school level where we cover all core contents. So if I'm like by trade, I'm a math teacher. So if a kiddo needs English help, it's my job to get that set up for them. Sorry. It's also my job. We host weekly check-ins so that our kiddos can have some student-to-student interaction. These are non-academic. We want them to have a time where they can kind of just come hang out virtually with some of their other virtual classmates. And we like to have that there so that the students can see us face-to-face and we can keep that teacher and student relationship fluid and not just be there for when they're having trouble, but be there to celebrate the fun things that are going on in their life. It's also part of my job to stay in communication with parents. So if your kiddo did a really great assignment, or they fall behind, or they have testing coming up, that comes from us. And something else I'm excited for next year to get to do as a roster teacher is we plan to facilitate in-person enrichments where kiddos can come in face to face and do an art activity, or maybe go out on a field trip and go see, a baseball game or something like that. A little bit different of the student expectations for our middle schoolers. They are still responsible for, logging in daily, or not daily, but, regularly, like Miss Adams said. But the phrase that I really like to use is that students need to complete 5 days worth of work on a 7-day calendar week. So, our in-person kiddos are in school from 8 to 3, or, 7:30 to 2:30. So while our virtual kiddos are not in school, they are still expected, to spend a similar amount of time on their virtual work. Ms. Adams also touched on this a little bit, but because they're at home and, we don't see them daily in our classrooms to grab them and say, hey, what happened on this quiz? How can we do better? They need to be willing to ask questions and reach out if they are struggling on something. Of course, we'll recognize patterns and notice, maybe we're not doing so hot in this unit in math, but they really need to be willing to say, hey, mom, I need help, or hey, dad, help me reach out to my teacher because I'm struggling with this topic. Our parent expectations are a little bit heavier in middle school and I'm sure in elementary. Our middle school students are learning how to be students still. They've got to build those good steady habits. So for our younger students, we find it's really important that parents sit down with their kiddo and learn that program at the beginning. That way, later on, it's not something that's completely unfamiliar, that maybe you guys can troubleshoot at home. And we all feel better when we know what we're looking at. We also recommend that at the beginning of the year that you check in with your kiddo on a daily basis. So if little John says, I did all my assignments today, that, right now we don't quite take them at their word, we check and we make sure that they did those things. I know when I was 12, when my parents asked if I cleaned my room and I said yes, if I knew they were coming to look, I really cleaned my room. But if I knew they weren't coming, then who knows? But after you get a good solid foundation of doing daily check-ins, then we can back off to 2 to 3 times a week. If they've got a good track record, then letting them kind of learn and grow in their own sense and become responsible for that as they move in through the middle school process. We also have found that it's really helpful if you build an at-home school place for them, whether that's the kitchen table or a desk. It's really helpful for our students if we can get them up and out of their bed or off the couch, and we give them a structured space that they know when I sit down here, I'm ready to do my schoolwork. A lot of our parents have had success with building a visual, like a weekly calendar. So maybe Monday, we're going to focus on 3 of our classes that are a little bit easier and get 2 lessons knocked out in each of those courses. And then Tuesday, we focus on the 2 or 3 other classes that are a little bit harder, and we do little pieces of those. The flexibility that everyone's talked about is fabulous. I have lots of kiddos who are great at one subject, and so they have zoomed through a little bit of it just to get ahead so they can spend more time on those harder subjects. Now, we do want them to work through all their classes. We don't want them to complete one and then move on to another, but it gives them the chance to spend the whole morning working on math, and they can do their other 4 subjects in the afternoon because those won't take as long. The other thing that we want to make sure we're doing as parents is we want to make sure that you guys are being attentive to their progress. We're going to communicate a lot via email, phone calls, and text messages. But we're going to send a lot of that important information out in those types of things. So we just want to make sure that we're checking in on those things so nothing gets missed. If we want to jump to that next slide, Caleb, if you don't mind. Perfect. Oh, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but just to come back to it, things we found to be helpful, like I said, set up a dedicated workspace, whether that's a desk or the kitchen table, just somewhere that, is dedicated just to schoolwork. What you would need to do if you need help. So like I said, they're middle schoolers. They're learning how to be independent learners, kind of like what Ms. Adams was talking about. If it is a content related question, they need help in math, they need help in science, we really want to push that the students be the ones to communicate first, because we really want to keep that relationship between students and teachers a solid foundation. It's a great life lesson to learn how to communicate with those above you, and those things start early. If it's a non-content issue, you know, if it's a program issue or my Chromebook's not working or my hotspot's gone dead, students can also reach out, but parents are always able to email us, call us, text us, and we will handle those issues as quickly as we can. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to help. We are here through the entire school day. If you guys have issues, that's what we're here for. If your kiddos need help in anything, that's our whole job. So we just want to make sure that you guys know that we're here to help, and your kiddos are always our number one priority. So I hope I didn't ramble on too much. So Miss Emily, I'm going to pass it to you.
Thanks, Miss Blackburn. You did great. Okay, I'm Emily Ramsey, and I'm an elementary school teacher for Broken Arrow Virtual Academy. This is my first year at the Virtual Academy. I've been with Broken Arrow for 8 years, and I've taught 2nd through 5th grades. One of the things I wanted to really drive home tonight, the ladies have already done such a great job describing what virtual school is like, but I really do want to say that especially at the elementary school level, and really at every level, but when you're talking about those pre-K through 5th graders, it's definitely a partnership. It's a parent, student, and teacher partnership. We have to work together. And one of the ways that we work together is by communicating with each other. And so I wanted to just point out some of our teacher role and parent role. I also put here, it's a learning guide. I have worked this year with some amazing people who aren't the child's parents, they're grandparents and neighbors and all kinds of people who their kids are doing virtual. So the neighbor sends a kid over to do virtual. And so their at-home teacher is not their mom or their grandma, it's their neighbor, Susan. And so she's the learning guide. So whoever you choose to help your child every day during their studies would be called the learning guide. It might be a parent or it might be someone else. So one of the things I said is that when they're signed up for the virtual school, it's really important, as Ms. Blackburn was saying, that the parents check emails and texts. However you've asked us to contact you, make sure you read those every day, especially for the younger kids. We send out things that are really important to the kids, like all of our fun times that we're going to have together with our check-ins, our live check-ins. All of those Microsoft Teams, all those links come in those emails. So please check the emails. And a lot of the elementary teachers make little videos for the kids too. So I will send out the emails and I also send them to the kids via Clever, but the learning guide will need to talk to their child about it. Let's see, for the parents, I'm gonna make sure that you feel like you're confident with the program, that you've been trained, you know how to work it, your child knows how to work it. If something happens and you don't remember or it's not working right, just reach out to us and we're right there. We're at school working all day, every day. So we'll get back to you right away. One of the things that I've noticed is that even though they are virtual and they're not in the building a whole lot, sometimes we do have to ask you to bring your child to school or to a certain site so that you can take a test. So be flexible about having to bring your child in for either testing so that we can help them and guide them, or to give them some extra support if they need it. And a lot of times that can be done virtually. We can do online tutoring. Most all of us have online tutoring regularly, just already set up. And then you can ask for extra. And then also the district provides tutoring too. So I love some of the things that Ms. Blackburn was saying about make sure your child has a place to work that's not in their bed. It just gives them an idea that we got to get some work done here and take it kind of seriously. I mentioned too, like making sure that we train you how to use the program because you're going to be helping the child, but also you get all of the answer keys and the teacher tips and like objectives so that you know what your child is supposed to be learning. It helps out. That's how teachers do it at school. So, also, I think we talked a little bit about having a calendar. I have some students who really love to do all of one subject on one day. So like math is every Monday and they do their whole week's worth of work in math on Monday. And then Tuesday is their language arts day and they do all their language arts on Tuesday. And being a flexible virtual school, I don't mind. As long as they get their work done and they keep working, it doesn't matter to me if they want to do all of their social studies for the week on Wednesday. I don't really mind at all. So we can help you develop some kind of a calendar or a schedule, or you can just ask your child, what do you like? How do you like to do this? What works for you? If you want to take every Friday off, that's fine too. So I like that flexibility. Let me see. One thing that I had happen recently, which was kind of funny, is I was talking about tutoring, and I was going to have the kids come in for tutoring, and I had a parent reach out, and she seemed a little embarrassed, and she said, "Can you tutor parents?" I said, "Well, what do you need me to tutor you?" And of course, what do you need? She said, "It's been a really long time since I've written a 5-paragraph essay. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what you want." So we just had a little tutoring session with mom and student and went over it. And I make sure I want the parents to feel totally comfortable coming to me and asking me any questions. Even if have you ever been in a situation where you forgot someone's name, but you've already seen them like 3 times in a row and they already know your name and you're too embarrassed to say, "Hey, I don't really remember your name"? That's how parents kind of get about some of these things. And so we just keep reaching out to you parents and inviting you to come to us and tell us if you need some help. And we will have fun together. They do live check-ins and we play and play Blook It and have all kinds of fun, have little parties. Sometimes we have fun Fridays. So there are a lot of fun things. And I think it was Ms. Blackburn who was saying, we are hoping next year with the pandemic kind of dying down, we'll be able to do some field trips and things like that too. And Mr. Starr, could you put on the next slide, please? This is one thing that some parents, especially with younger kids, kind of ran into a little bit this year. And I just want to point it out that instead of just looking at a grade, when you're talking about virtual school, you have to look at pacing. So I said, what is pacing and why do I care? Well, virtual school is flexible. And so your child doesn't have to work every single day, but they do need to work. The same amount of work for the school year has to get done. So it is a flexible alternative and kids can work at their own pace, but you need to get, like they're saying, about 5 days worth of school done in a 7-day period. So if you don't ever want to work on Mondays, that's fine, but the 5 days worth of work still has to get done. A regular day at school is about 7 hours, and your virtual school for kids who are in pre-K through 5th grade is going to be about 3 to 4 hours of work. But it's work. It's not just logging in, and then you just sit there and watch cartoons or something. And then, you have to actually do the work. So be aware that your virtual student could have completed assignments and they could have received good grades on them. They're 100% A+, but they will still fail virtual school if they stop working. So throughout the year, teachers will remind students and parents, the learning guides, of the amount of progress that should be done by a given date. And if they're not there, the learning guide at home will have to kind of pressure them to go ahead and continue working so that they finish on time and are able to complete their school year successfully. So please check your child's pacing progress and grades regularly to avoid unwelcome surprises. If you have any questions, make sure and reach out to your roster teacher. And I bet you a nickel that they'll reach out to you if they notice that your grades or your progress is slipping. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Thank you guys for coming. Mr. Starr?
All right. Just a few more details from me. I did want to point out this picture. I got permission from Riley's mom here, but I want you to see what we talk about when we talk about a dedicated workspace. He's got a little desk, and you can tell it's right next to the kitchen counter. There's the bread. And you can see they took the time to go to Hobby Lobby maybe and buy something that helped them figure out what today's schedule is. And what I really love about this is that this particular mom has figured out, you can't sit your kid down for 4 straight hours. We're going to do something for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll take a little break. And then maybe we'll do something else for 30 or 40 minutes, and we'll take a little break. The other thing that we've noticed with students is that they all have different times of the day where they work best. I know personally 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. is where I get done the hardest part of my work. If I need to think critically or create or analyze, I do that in the morning, and I save things like answering emails or things like that for later in the afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen at this time and just talk to you a little bit about some keys to success that have already been talked about, that consistent work schedule and that dedicated workspace. But then I also wanted to talk about two other things. One, how can you enroll in Virtual Academy if you decide? April 1st, you will receive an email. Everybody in the district will receive an email about residency verification. And it's going to ask you to do a few things that you have to do to start every school year. We send that out in April to give people the whole summer to work on that. But if you want to enroll in Virtual Academy, you'll need to do so by April 23rd. So that's an important date. And I want to say it again just to drive it home, but April 23rd is the deadline to enroll for Virtual Academy. So when you get that residency verification email, it will give you what's called a SNAP code, and that's a unique code for each student. So if you have more than one student in Broken Arrow Public Schools, you'll get more than one email. And you'll use that code. There'll be instructions on this email. It'll tell you, it'll have a link, and you'll click the link and you'll just follow the instructions. It's a very simple process. Our enrollment team has done a wonderful job with it. And you'll be asked a question, do you want to enroll in Broken Arrow Virtual Academy? So you can click yes for that, and it will ask you, if you click yes, whether you want to be blended or full-time. Now, if you're an elementary student, it's just full-time. But if you're middle or high school, you can choose that blended option. If you're not sure yet and you want more information from us, you can click I'm interested in Broken Arrow Virtual Academy, and that will send an email to your home site's counselor and to Virtual Academy as well. And so we can give you some more information and make sure that we get the information that you need. The last thing I wanted to talk about is what we call a contract. So we want to make sure that you have the best fit for your educational needs. We think Virtual Academy is great. That's why we can spend all this time talking about it, and we really enjoy it. We think it's an awesome option, but we recognize that it's not for every single student. And so we want to help ensure that you have thought this through. So there is a contract when you go through that residency verification process that I want you to read through, and it just says, hey, I agree that my student will work regularly, and I agree if my student is an elementary or middle school student that I will be supporting them through this process. If you get in there and you're not sure, just give us a call. We're more than happy to talk you through this whole process. Okay, so those are the things that we wanted to talk to you tonight about in regards to Virtual Academy. I feel like we've given you guys a robust overview of all the capabilities it has and all of the things that you may want to consider before making a final decision. So at this time, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the chat box. And I'll wait a second while you guys potentially ask questions. In the meantime, Miss Blackburn, Early, Miss Adams, and Miss Ramsey, will you guys go ahead and put your email addresses in the chat box as well? And that way we can answer any questions. And go ahead, ladies, please put whether you're middle school, high school, or elementary. That way, anybody that might have a question can direct it to the person that they need to. You guys must have done a really good job because I'm not seeing any questions yet, but I'm going to wait just a couple minutes to make sure. Here's one that says, do you have to be in a sport to be in Blended Virtual Academy, or can you take any electives such as French in person? Blended is completely customizable. You can pretty much do it however you want, as long as we offer the classes you want virtually. Ms. Early mentioned that we are looking at the best software options for next year. We do that at the end of every year. And so sometimes different software programs offer different electives or different courses. And so we would reserve the right to make sure that we have that class available to you virtually before we enrolled you in it. But yeah, if you want to do 3 classes in person and 3 online, you're welcome to do that. We have some kids that take AP classes and they want to take those in person, but then maybe they're electives they want to take online. At the elementary level, are there options where students would have the opportunity to be with their peers in person? Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we want to do in a post-COVID world is to be able to provide weekly opportunities for students to get together. We are currently trying to organize a way that maybe your art class is still in person once a week, or your PE class is in person once a week, or your music class even is in person once a week. So we definitely recognize, especially at the elementary and middle school levels, that socialization is an important and integral part of school. And so we definitely want to give you guys as many opportunities as possible while not requiring them, obviously. Great question. Scroll through the chat one more time. I am not seeing any more questions. I will ramble for just a few more seconds in case anybody comes up with another question, but we don't have any further questions. Thanks for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. This is recorded. We will put it on our website. So if you happen to talk to some of your friends and they are interested in Virtual Academy, this is on the website and it should be by tomorrow afternoon. So you will be able to do that. There is one more question I think that just popped up. Will students have the option to enroll in the blended Virtual Academy if they do not like the 9th grade center? You have to make your choice by April 23rd. And the reason for that is we have to know where to put the teachers, right? Let's say the majority of 9th grade wanted to be virtual. Well, we would need to put the teachers at virtual. And so that plays a role, and that's why we have to know by the 23rd of April whether or not you want to attend Broken Arrow Virtual Academy or you want to go to your in-person option. It's another good question. Okay, thanks for coming this evening. Again, this is recorded, and we will put it on our Broken Arrow Virtual Academy page tomorrow. And thanks for coming. Guys, have a good evening.